Welcome back, everyone, to Issues of Faith. We are talking about Everyone's Wilson. This is a group of churches in Wilson County coming together to improve the lives of people in Wilson County. And we have with us Daryl Crouch. He's pastor Greenhill Church in Mount Juliet, and Tim Bryant. He's a teaching pastor at Fellowship Church in Mount Juliet, both via Zoom. And as we went to break, and I'll ask you this, Daryl, about how other communities can do this, the need for it. But say there's someone in another county, they're thinking about this, what would you recommend?
No, I think that's super important, and I know that there's efforts all over the state being made similar to this. Dave Worland leads the governor's task force, faith-based initiatives and so on, doing a great job trying to connect similar efforts around the state. But really, as a pastor or as a community leader, you take the initiative, as Tim said earlier. Determine who the leaders are in the community, build a friendship, think about the long view, keep that in mind. Trust is not built in a minute. It's not built over one cup of coffee. It's built through over time, and people are busy. And so if you're not committed to the long haul, you might want to reevaluate exactly the efforts that you're hoping to make. And so, but I think once that's in place and once that commitment is made, to get some people in the same room. We had 2 meetings at our Chamber of Commerce office with community leaders. The mayors came, commissioners came, educators came, the director of schools came, State Representative Lynn was there. Many others came into the room to have this discussion to help us to identify those pockets of vulnerability. And so if a community leader will take the effort, make the effort to say, what are the problems in our community and how can we be a part of solving those problems and moving the needle? Even if you move the needle 2 to 3% over a 5-year period, that's quite a few people. And so hopefully over a decade, you're moving it a lot more than that. And so you're impacting generationally.
Right. What an important mission for the church. And Tim, what about some book clubs and the study involving Dr. Perkins? What about those things?
Well, I had the privilege of joining a Zoom call Bible study with Dr. Perkins a few months ago. And resulting from that, we were able to host a webinar featuring him and his latest book called He Calls Me Friend. And this book focuses on different cultures, races, crossing the line in friendship, crossing the line of socioeconomic status, rich, poor, middle class, coming together. So now we're doing a book study of He Calls Me Friend through Everyone's Wilson. And we do it weekly during this entire month of October. Again, these are steps to be intentional of having black, white, red, brown coming together and talk about some of the hard issues we have today. We think about the social unrest that's going on now. We have to come together, and it's all based on love. Love is the answer. I'm certainly a fan of Dr. Perkins. He states that the answer for all of our social unrest today is simply love. Love God with all our heart, soul, and mind, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. So love is the key, and that's what we're promoting in this book study.
It is easy to get discouraged in the midst of the news that is all around us. And so, Tim, what you say sounds good. Inspire me that it can work. I mean, are you seeing it work? It's, again, so easy to get discouraged. How is that not just talk?
Yeah. Well, we find that, and some of the things we've been discussing in the book study is that love is not always warm and fuzzy. It can be hard sometimes. It's a commitment. The agape love is a commitment Jesus Christ was committed when he hung, bled, and died on the cross for our sins. It's a commitment, and you're right, it's not always easy. The webinar we had with Dr. Perkins, we had about 2,000 visits that night on social media. The book study is about 25 people. But I firmly believe that these people have been called by God to this book study. And from these individuals, this message of committed love will spread out in our various churches in Wilson County, because we have participants from the various churches in our area.
Okay, great. And all right, we only have about 3 minutes left. I wish we had more time. COVID. Tell me about the impact of COVID. And Daryl, you know, what has that done to this group and everyone's Wilson and just churches in general? What has it meant?
Yeah. Well, I think everyone's had to pivot and reevaluate, just like in every sector of our community. And so churches and coalitions like this have had to rethink how we do things. And we're on Zoom a lot like you are, and we're connecting in different ways. We're also just trying to say, what can we do in this moment? I think faithfulness in this season is really important, and it's going to look different than it would if there were no pandemic to deal with. And so I think if we have churches that are feeding folks, and drive-through food pantries have, again, emerged all over our county, I think what we're doing to help students succeed, those that are staying at home, there's churches making efforts to provide care and tutoring services for students on their off days if they're in the hybrid program, and other scenarios that make sense for those parents and kids. And so everybody I see is just doing all they can do to be faithful with the little things in these moments. And they're not little in the big scheme of things, but they don't feel as broad and as widespread and as big of a scope as we would like. But what I've seen is that most of our churches, and when I say churches, I'm talking about just regular people, everyday Christians, are continuing to give, they're continuing to serve, they're continuing to love their neighbor, and do the very best they can to honor one another in a otherwise divisive social climate right now. And so I think just faithfulness and encouraging that goes the distance.
And Tim, we only have about a minute left. What do you want people to take away from this?
As I said earlier, that love is the key, and to be intentional about friendships. We have to become friends, one with another, believer with believer, believer with non-believer. Jesus gave the example that he loved all people. So it's really cut and dried. The answer is to love one another.
We need to be connected now more than ever in the midst of this time. Thank you both. I wish we could talk longer. Thank you both. Daryl Crouch, Tim Bryant.
Thank you.
And thanks for the work you're doing. Thanks to you for watching Issues of Faith. Have a great day, everybody.